All right, everybody, how's it going? Logan Skis here. I'm coming to you with another venture map breakdown. So, in the last video, I pushed forward from our project planning section, and that was built on top of our culture development. We started with our why, defining our purpose, our team, uh, dove into a bit of our team tapestry with our Enneagram personality breakdowns. We went a little bit deeper, explored how we can build core narrative to support our culture with an origin story, even an industry story, and a venture growth story. We looked at some fundamentals of project planning and boiled it down to say, so at the bare minimum, we're going to want to have deliverables, the what, and the when, right? These are some just base things that we kind of want to have in the back of our minds, how to scope out, even internally, um, what we're going to do, when we're going to do it, and then who's going to do it. How is a great thing to consider as well. We reflected on this visual appendix and how we could have a threshold of performance defined by leveraging a visual appendix to complement our work breakdown structures. So if those things were ever going to exist, we would like to have them here. We consider project planning the disciplined section of visioning, right? It's kind of the dark side of the coin. So often when we think of vision, we think of cultural elements, cultural aspects, story and purpose and mission and vision, all kind of coming together. But on the flip side of the coin, we do have that project planning element, and that is the discipline component. Ultimately, that will feed into the next space. And when we're thinking of strategy, um, a lot of the leaders in this domain refer to this as innovation strategy, right? A big player is strategizer. Alexander Osterwilder, as well as Steve Blank with Four Steps to the Epiphany and a number of other books. He defines the customer discovery methodology. Ash Moria, who's kind of built upon the business model canvas framework and leveraged the lean canvas, or distributed the lean canvas to the world. Huge contributions there. Their books are all great. Couldn't recommend them more. But then there's also a great tool here called the Dream 100. Now, Russell Brunson is a proponent of this. You learn about the Dream 100 in his book, Traffic Secrets. It's a great place to keep that, and a great place to not only build the deliverable, and by the deliverable, I'm basically just meaning these little squares, right? It's a cool place to kind of keep it in a visual folder system. If you're a visually oriented individual and you're kind of tired with the siloed, fragmented approach of the Dropboxes, the Google Drives of the world, then Miro could be a really great fit for you. I know it's been a great fit for myself over the years, as well as my colleague Jack Hickler. We're focused on service design and business architecture, conducting corporate anthropology and human-centered design. We help our clients map out their processes, streamline their operations, and maximize capital efficiency for their organizations while reinforcing culture. Wow, that's a lot to say in one sentence, but you get the idea. So now that we've scoped out some defining elements of our vision, we're going to be moving into the strategy section a little further. And really where it all begins, based on the literature we've had the privilege of going through and the understanding we have at this stage in the game, is it's a wise move to understand the operational climate, the environment. There's no better tool that I know of, at least a mechanism of perspective is really what this is, than the business model environment canvas or environment map from Strategizer. Really love what these guys have produced here. We have it represented in a unique way that works for our approach. We have all of their, and these PDFs are for free on their website. You know, I couldn't encourage you guys more to go out there and snag them up. Give Strategizer some love. They have been spearheading the innovation strategy industry for many years. Big respect for Alexander Osterwilder and his colleagues. So understanding basically market analysis, the key trends, the competitive analysis, and macroeconomics. And it doesn't, like I said in the previous live stream yesterday, it doesn't necessarily have to be every question answered, right? You don't necessarily need to get all this done and feel bottlenecked by this, but it's healthy to consider. It's healthy to at least read it. If you're a solopreneur, if you're a team, it's healthy to go through that, set up a workshop space. If you want me to go deeper into any of these deliverables, I could even potentially do a live workshop recording of how we answer these questions. For some that people maybe you wouldn't know really how to answer some of these questions, and you'd want to see more detailed examples. I'm happy to do that as well. Same thing goes for all of our vision deliverables and things that we'll cover moving forward. My objective in this video series is just first of all to document my journey and to share the methodology of visual collaboration that we've had the privilege of structuring over time in the Miro platform. We've been the beneficiaries of a lot of great opportunity and learning over the years, and it's our hope that we can share these learnings with you and help foster a new community that's structured around reimagining what the remote working culture can be in a way that technology serves humans, not the other way around. So this is the venture map. I've broken it down a couple of times now, but for reference, we're here at the beginning. We're kind of incepting the use case, incepting the elements of the business model, of the business architecture, I should say, at the very beginning of the map. Once we have a general concept of which pieces of the market, which industry forces, what the macroeconomic climate looks like, and key trends are occurring, it's a great practice to conduct some market size exercises. And I believe my colleague, Mr. Jack Hickler, is going to be coming through with a more detailed analysis of actually the detail-oriented approach on facilitating the development of this actual asset and where to go, what best practices are. We're going to distill up what a bunch of the gurus in this space talk about, provide our remarks, and maybe even structure out a workshop space that's pretty much detailed. Go here, do this, find that. But at the end of the day, we're going to want a structured asset that looks something like this. That's a great place to start. We really do love the ClickFunnels approach, the Russell Brunson approach. The Dream 100 framework is brilliant for many reasons, but one of them, I as a Marine infantry veteran, what appeals to me so highly from this is it seems a lot like guerrilla warfare. It's irregular warfare, perhaps you could say, and it's one thing to understand the theories of what's happening in the market, what are the industry forces, what's the macroeconomic climate, what are key behavioral trends. These things are cultural trends. What is that? That's a theoretical construct, and those can be helpful. Ultimately, a founding team is a group of thought partners and creators, so it's important to have that philosophical alignment. To have these things, so vital for risk mitigation, right? We want to understand that our total addressable market in our target market, our beachhead strategy, these things are sound and logical, and they're going to make sense in the long term. Also, it's great for stakeholder reporting, right? We want to get everyone aligned with the idea that this is worth our time. We defined why we want to do it over here. We defined who is going to do it and how we're going to show up in this process of building out an organization. We talked about a little more about what is going to happen, how we're going to physically develop an entire organization from scratch through some basic project planning assets. But from there, we want to understand the opportunity, and we want to ensure that it's worth our time and that of our stakeholders and investors, employees, etc. But still, it's theoretical to a degree, because having a number here, having multiple numbers represented here, can only ever take us so far. What we love about the Dream 100 is this basically questions the entrepreneur, and I may never do enough justice to this as Russell Brunson could do in his book, so again, highly recommend you check that out. There's also a Dream 100 standalone book that's very interesting. This allows you to ask the question, where are 100 communities where my dream customers, essentially, where my target market currently exists as an audience? In other words, what website, YouTube pages, podcasts, uh, influencers, where are these people, right? Taking it out of a total addressable market and saying it's this Facebook group, it's this blog, it's this page, and understanding who are the facilitators for those blogs, who is the gatekeeper for these pages. And I appreciate this because it makes me kind of think of tribal warfare, kind of infiltration a little bit. And you got to just be able to take it all the way down to reality, the human standpoint. Like, where are these human beings? And that's one of the things I really love and appreciate about this sort of on the boots on the ground approach with the Dream 100. It's a great way to go from this high theoretical standpoint, which is immensely valuable, deployed by strategizer, and this sort of traditional business approach of market sizing, very important. But then this like kind of uh, next generation lean entrepreneurship, like building funnels and channeling traffic and making it happen in the digital environment. I appreciate this tool highly. So that'll be all I share about that. Um, of course, you can conduct further competitive analysis, and that can always take you in interesting places. So we do appreciate turning in full size screenshots and live links of the websites of people that we think are indirect or direct competition for a element or the entirety of a potential business case that we're bringing in. So it's important to flesh out a competitive analysis there. Other elements, SWOT assessment, but also this is something that's very interesting. It's referenced in the book Business Model Generation, the kind of spearhead into the business model canvas, right? They kind of fuse together multiple elements of the customer discovery framework, which Steve Blank pioneered. But it also was the Blue Ocean Strategy is a standalone book. There's a full website with blogs, and tons of people have commented on this. It's a really helpful thought construct, and it's an even more even more helpful to actually implement the approach, and then a great question to understand before really committing to developing a business model, right? Going through the effort to actually produce hypotheses and a go-to-market strategy, much less the marketing plan, the creative, the media collateral, the distribution campaigns, the funnel building. I mean, you want to make sure it's worth your time and that you've mitigated against risk. So the Blue Ocean Strategy is healthy to have in there as well. Let's see, we do have a SWOT assessment. Here we go. Now this is kind of a business 101 kind of a thing. It's helpful to conduct this. It's also referenced in several books in the business model canvas kind of domain, how it coincides with the business model canvas. I think it's helpful if you have stakeholders and you're talking to individuals that are familiarized with this approach. It doesn't take that long. It's worth it. If it takes an afternoon, if it takes 2 afternoons, if it takes a week, it's worth it to have this on hand. I mentioned this last time, and I'll say it again. Ultimately, like Churchill says, plans are worthless. Planning is invaluable. And we want to keep that in mind here. A lot of times entrepreneurs, are very oriented on getting to their favorite part of the equation, which is right here. Right? We love this word because that means cash collected. That's revenue. That's our lifeblood. It's all about the sales. But there is something to be said about due diligence. So market analysis is a great way to inform an effective snapshot of your concept, and we'll get into that here in a second. From left to right, it is a linear path. It is a progressive path. We could certainly go deeper and continue um, opening up market analysis, and we could break into all sorts of things, going into trendhunter.com and trends.com and all of these other really high speed, sort of up to date, finger on the pulse of many areas. There's all sorts of market reports and analysis that we could crack into, and we could go down the rabbit hole pretty far here. But for now, this is a good example of what, from my point of view, is sufficient. It's a sufficient market analysis. If you have some work done in all of this, you're in a relatively healthy place to begin. For sure, you have something to be proud of. So, if we have all of that, it's gonna illuminate and bring clarity to the next step, and that next step is our business model. Now, sure, the business model can that those words can be a little tricky because they can mean a lot of things. We like to have a pretty flexible interpretation of that based on the wide diversity of approaches. We're very agnostic, and although I've recommended a couple thought leaders, ultimately we're agnostic to the brand. And although we respect the brand creators that are out there, for example, I've got a lean canvas here, Ash Moria, excellent author and creator, big props to him. We've got a value proposition canvas from Strategizer, and Alexander Osterwalder book, course, couldn't recommend it enough. But at the end of the day, we believe in using the most effective tools for ourselves, but also for our clients and their businesses. So we're going to just break this down a little bit, and then I'll wrap it up here in a few minutes. So once we have informed ourselves and we know what's going on with the market and outside of the walls, so to speak, that's going to inform the initial snapshot we make of the company. And when we say snapshot, I always kind of like to think of this as a Polaroid camera, kind of like the old days. And you're kind of taking a two-dimensional picture, a holistic snapshot of your concept, of your idea. It could be a pre-existing business. This could be a company that's already running, has employees, has customers, or it could be just an idea, anything in between. What's helpful about this is it forces the information to go into appropriate places, and it forces you to understand where are you firmly developed and where are you underdeveloped. So that's something I think that is healthy. Let's see. Once you've effectively developed a business model canvas or a lean canvas, if you're really showing up to the scene for the first time and being exposed to these sort of architectural elements, a lean canvas is typically great for early stage startups. The business model canvas has so many strengths to it right here, but there's also a mission model canvas out there for use in mission-driven organizations, typically in the government or in nonprofits that can be implemented as well. Let's see. So effectively, we're taking in market data and we're infusing it into a canvas, but we took it one step further because we also wanted to get a market size. We wanted to say, where are those markets? Give me 100 audiences that represent that market. Show me the competitive analysis, and this is just a post-it note, right? For me today, I say, hey, that's good, because I know I need to get it there. This is a low fidelity representation, but eventually we'll have a higher fidelity representation here, and that's just something to feed into the midterm task for the team. We can have something as simple as this representing what we want, and over time we can develop a bespoke asset that represents our blue ocean strategy directly, as well as a SWOT analysis. Of course, this is just a basic tool, a template, and over time we would put something in there that actually represents the business case being implemented into the map. Once we have all of that, we sort of start injecting it into the business model and start capturing assumptions. When we do a full lean canvas or business model canvas workshop, we can have 5, 6, 7, 10, 12, 20 of these all in a row, and we could play and mix and pull apart and go through a full workshop just doing this. Lastly, so I guess I'll finish by just saying the 9 building blocks of the canvas here are excellent, and it's a great thought strategy. It's a great exercise for many reasons. I kind of committed not to go too deep on any single deliverable. Each deliverable itself has a workshop behind it, and every single segment on the venture map feeds the next segment, but it also can go down and basically go deeper into the similar concept. We saw a little bit of how that works over here with our culture. We started with why, we defined our mission and vision, we defined our team, the core purpose that our team is surrounding, but then we also took it one level deeper to the second row and started working on core narrative. We could do that all the way across the board here, but we're going to keep it elementary in a sense. So once we basically have a high-level overview of our canvas, kind of these 9 building blocks defining the core elements of our business, we'll push it one level deeper and we'll check out value propositions in our market segment. And this is important because it allows us to define their jobs to be done. Jobs to be done is an excellent way to start defining basically what the customer's key activities are and what they're seeking to accomplish, what the outcomes they're really working towards are, the pains associated with those objectives, and the gains that they're seeking to get from that. We want to really find a place where there's a problem solution fit or a value proposition in our customer segment are sort of mirroring one another. That's a great first step in terms of validation of the business model. Lastly, of course, this is an internal box that we use here. We call this hypothesis storyboarding. There's a number of ways to do this. Let's see, where's that traditional asset at? From here, Strategizer refers to this as the assumptions map. And this, of course, requires a workshop and a little bit of intellectual elbow grease. But effectively what we do here, gang, is we pull out all of our key assumptions. Right? So there's a practice of actually making the assumptions a little more clarified and condensed. And then we frame them based on their relevancy to our outcome or how important they are and their evidence status. Like how much clear evidence do we have to back the concept of our business model, our assumptions. From that point in time, we kind of get into this testing box. We like to kind of synthesize, keep our hypotheses represented in a very clear way. We love this representation of the nucleus up top, always keeping in mind the purpose. If you remember, it's kind of a great way to start. We built on Simon Sinek's start with why, so we kind of view that as the nucleus of the business. And we have that listed in the guiding principles framework, the very first thing we did way over here, right here. And I love the work here. Thanks a lot for taking lead on representing the nucleus, Mr. Jack. We got our 4 key domains of hypotheses for our business, and we have those listed here below. That's one way to visualize it. That's the way we do it. If you've got another way to represent it visually, let me know. Effectively, we build out our experimentation sequence by prioritizing the assumptions based on how important they are to the business and how the ones with the least amount of evidence. From that point in time, you can see this guy here is a great representative. It's evidence-based entrepreneurship, applying some of the scientific method to our practice. Ultimately, it's in an effort to reduce uncertainty and risk. You want to have something to the effect of this. This can take its shape in many different forms. We absolutely love the book Testing Business Ideas from Strategizer. They've got a whole testing library, and their book that is just brilliant. really brilliant. Let's see. So basically, you'll have your snapshots of the business. You'll have the extraction point of your hypotheses or your core assumptions. And you'll compare those assumptions, sort of apples to apples in a sense, to find what's most important and which one has the least amount of evidence. At that point, based on your testing box, you'll determine what the sequence looks like. Where are you going to begin, and where is it going to lead to? And this is an important thing to have because it leads directly to the next phase, which is in marketing. So that's 25 minutes here on the video. I'm going to call it quits for today. Thanks so much for checking this out. If you are interested in carrying this discussion forward or understanding how this type of framework could be implemented in your business project, just click the link below in the description. Let me know about that. Happy to provide you with a free venture map template of your own and even help you get started in bringing it into your own Miro board on a strategy session. You can book time with me on the call. Just hit the link below, follow the steps, and it's pretty straightforward. We love the idea of connecting with like-minded entrepreneurs who want to leverage the power of a visual collaboration technology like this. So if that's you, go ahead, hit that link below, let me know where to send your venture map copy, and let me know when you want to connect over Zoom to set it up. All right, friends, that's all the time I got for now. Until next time, I'll see you on the other side.